What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Tank Be Chopping, and I'm back with another video. Now, in this video, we actually gonna be talking about what are my top trimmers going into 2022. Let's get it. Alright guys, so when it comes to actually trimmers, I don't feel that there's a lot of options out there like there is with clippers. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a lot of options, because there is, but I just feel like with clippers, they got a bunch of different clippers out there, and trimmers, they got a bunch of different ones, but I just feel like there's less trimmers than there are clippers out there. But nonetheless, guys, I wanted to give y'all a video on my top trimmers going into next year's gonna be, but instead of doing top 3, I'm only gonna be doing my top 2 trimmers going into 2022. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into it. First, I do want to say that there is a trimmer that hasn't came out yet. I did get the pleasure of working with it already. I'm talking about the Babyliss Low Pro trimmer. Great trimmer, guys, really like it a lot. Really been one of my go-to trimmers for the past couple weeks. Now, just for the sake of this video, and since it technically hasn't came out yet, I won't be rating it in this video, you know what I'm saying? I won't be talking about it too much, but nonetheless, guys, I do feel that it is a good trimmer, and it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna make some noise in the industry. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this actual video. Now, as y'all may or may not know, there has been some clipper companies that have put out some trimmers this year. Some a little better than others, you know what I'm saying? We got some brand new trimmers, we got some old trimmers that are just, you know, changed up a little bit and re-released. So we got a couple new trimmers that came out this year, right? So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm just gonna go over them slightly, not really get too detailed into them until I get to my top 2 trimmers. The first trimmer that I want to talk about is the Andis slimline. Now, this trimmer's been out for a good minute. When it first came out, it was a good trimmer. I used it. I know a lot of barbers used to use it, and now I just feel that it's outdated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't feel that there is a lot of need for this in the, you know, in the barber world anymore. Not saying that it can't come in handy for some people, maybe if you're at home doing lineups or you're trying to stay clean in between haircuts, but in the barber world, you know what I'm saying, when barbers actually, the way we use our tools, I don't feel that this trimmer is just, it just don't cut it no more for me, you know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next trimmer. Alright guys, so you know how your boy is, you know what I'm saying? I like the newest stuff. So with that being said, we're gonna jump into this next trimmer, but I'm gonna talk about another trimmer when I'm talking about this trimmer, and you're gonna see why here in a second. So the next trimmer I wanna talk about is the Gamma Evo. This trimmer came out like 2 years ago, and since it's not like new, you know what I'm saying, I really didn't use it at all this year, you know what I'm saying? But what I did use was the X Evo from Gamma. This is basically like the bigger brother to this trimmer. I'm not saying this trimmer's bad, but it's just, you know, I used it a little bit. I was excited to use it. It worked good, but once, you know, I stopped using it, I really feel like I didn't need to use it no more. And then once this one came out, I used this one a lot. This was my go-to trimmer for the beginning of the year for a good amount of time. Well, I don't know about the beginning of the year. I want to say maybe like in, whenever this one came out and I got it, I used it for a good 2 or 3 months, like consistently. Like, I didn't use any other trimmer, really liked it a lot. And then what happened was, honestly guys, I dropped it and I had to put the blade back on it or whatever, and it just didn't work the same after that. And then I did put on a different blade on it, and it didn't do it for me, you know what I'm saying? So that's why these ain't gonna be my top trimmers going into next year. So the next set of trimmers that I want to talk about is the Andis T Outliner and the Andis GTX XO. So this is basically the same trimmer. This one came out earlier this year, and this one came out like 2 or 3 years ago. And the reason why I say it's basically the same trimmer is because it's basically the same trimmer. Only difference between these 2 trimmers is, as you can see, this one has like the skeleton, you know, it's exposed a little bit. It's like the newer style of trimmers that we like to use nowadays, and the blade is a different blade than this one. But other than that, guys, they're basically the same trimmers, and I don't want to say that they're not good, but if y'all had this trimmer, then y'all know that Andis dropped the ball with these. Now, if you use these, you may have got lucky and just got one of those pairs that worked really, really good, because I have seen people put out some good product with these trimmers. They work really good, and I see them working really good with them, and it's like, man, like, mine don't work like that. And then these, I've had these for, you know, since they came out, and they worked really good when I first bought them, but after a while, they just, you know, the motor just feels like it lost power to me. So that's why these will not be my top trimmers going into next year. So another trimmer that I used a lot was the Gamma Absolute Hitter. So check it out, guys. I know a lot of people had like bad things to say about this trimmer, but honestly, like when I first used it, I was a little skeptical about it myself. So this one came out, I want to say about 2 or 3 years ago also, and when I first picked it up, I was like, man, this thing ain't gonna work good, it ain't gonna hit, but this thing hits lining up. Like for the longest, this was my go-to trimmer for lining. Like I wouldn't do anything else with it but line up with it, because the lines come out perfect. But for some reason, when it comes to balding, sometimes this clipper doesn't do its thing. Now I'm not saying all the time, now it will get the job done, but I just feel that sometimes it feels like it's not working at the best that it possibly could. You know what I'm saying? Like it just seems like it's a struggle, or it takes a little longer to bald out than I would like. But for lining, man, this thing is like a laser, bro. Like when you line up, this thing, it hits. If y'all seen my videos, y'all seen that I've really put out a lot of haircuts using this trimmer, because I like the way it worked. You know, for lining, it was really good, but it's just not gonna be my top trimmer going into next year. So the next set of trimmers I'm going to be talking about is the Babyliss Gold FX and the Influencer Edition. So these two trimmers, guys, well, this one in particular, when this one came out, y'all know that everybody and their mama had this trimmer. Every barber in the game tried this trimmer at least one time, and I think, I don't want to say 9 out of 10 barbers, but let's just say 7 out of 10 barbers used this for a good amount of time. I know when these things first came out, I was driving all around Houston trying to find one, and I got my hands on it, and I felt like I found the best tool I could ever had. Worked super good, super sharp lines. The only thing that I could say about this clipper that wasn't the best in my opinion was sometimes when I was balding out, it would tend to snag, but Babyliss fixed that. Most of their trimmers, you know, they don't do that anymore. I believe that was just, you know, an issue with like the first generation of these trimmers, but now these things hit. I put a new blade on it. I done bought like 6 or 7 of these things. I don't even know how many I have, but I bought a lot of these trimmers. And last year, I told y'all my go-to trimmer was the Silver FX. Same thing, only with a different blade. I used it for a good amount of time. Going into this year that we just came up on, I used it for a good amount of time this year. You know, it was a good trimmer, but honestly, I think this one just works a little better now that I added the different blade. This newer blade just worked really good, and I just feel that this was a good trimmer. Now, this one, it has a DLC 2.0 blade. Like it a lot, works better for balding, but not as good for lining. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't line up really good, because it does. It lines up good, but I just still feel this gold blade right here, you know, this one's also like a laser, and it balds out better, you know what I'm saying? So these two, they are really good trimmers. If you have any one of these trimmers, you know that they work really good. Like, I'm not knocking it. Babyliss did a good thing when they put out this trimmer. I think they rearranged the whole game when it comes to talking about trimmers, but they won't be my #1 trimmer or my top trimmers going into next year. All right, guys, so we're down to my top 2 trimmers, and I didn't put 1 or 2, the 1 or the #2 title on these trimmers, because I honestly feel they both work good. They both have their pros and they both have their cons. So I honestly think either way you go with these trimmers, they're good to go. I feel that whichever one you go with, it's gonna put out a good product, great product, and you're gonna love. So my top 2 trimmers going into 2022 is the Wahl Detailer and the Babyliss FX3. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this one first. I know y'all thinking like, what, the Wahl Detailer, bro, that's an old trimmer. Like, what you mean that's your go-to trimmer? All right, check it out. I know I slept on this trimmer a lot. Like, I slept on it a lot. When it came out last year, you know, I liked it. I used it a little bit. Or was it last year? No, it came out 2 years ago, right? I don't know, but when it first came out, I used it, you know what I'm saying? I put it to work, I liked it, but then like, it was hard for me to get the way it feels in my hand. It was hard for me to get used to it. The blade, like the corners of the blade weren't hitting really well when it came to lining up. So it wasn't really my favorite, so I stopped using it, right? So my boy Matt and Joe, they swear by this trimmer. They say this is like the best trimmer they've ever used. So I said, you know what? Let me get a new one. Maybe things have changed. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it works better now, so I got a new one. And man, I felt like I've missed out a lot on this trimmer. And I know y'all thinking like, bro, that's an old trimmer. But just hear me out, man. I'm just trying to be honest with y'all. Like, I really like this thing a lot. Like, it balds out good. It doesn't have an issue with balding out at all. Like, it balds out any type of hair. You know what I'm saying? The lines on this, they come out super sharp, make super nice razor sharp lines, and at the same time it's not too sharp, because I didn't zero gap this trimmer at all. Didn't zero gap it at all, and it works well, so I can use it on kids, I can use it on grown-ups, beards, balding, whatever, and it works really well. It is a little hard to get used to at first, the way that it feels in your hand. It is a little thicker than some of the other trimmers, but nonetheless, I still really think it's a good trimmer going into next year, and for that reason, that's why it's one of my top trimmers going into next year. Now, the other trimmer that I placed in my top 2 trimmers was the Babyliss FX3. Now, the reason why I put this one up there is if you've tried this trimmer, you know this thing hits. Fresh out the box, I know I said the other ones are like lasers, but this laser just happens to be a little more precise than the other ones. Like it hits, man. Like it's a hitter. Like, you know, it's a super hitter, you know what I'm saying? And it works really good for lining up. And at first I had an issue with it lining up, like it was too sharp. But I guess that's kind of like a good problem to have. All I did was unscrew these screws, push the blade back, worked perfect. I love the way it balls out. It gets shorter than any other of my trimmers. When it comes to lining up, this thing just hits. And I really like this a lot because when I'm doing the C cup, I feel like it's a lot easier for me to maneuver because of the way that this fits in my hand. So it is a slimmer fit in your hand. So if you like slimmer trimmers, you'll like this one a lot. And I just feel that it works really good, man. I really don't know what else to say. Just that if you use this trimmer, you know that it's a hitter and you know that it balls out good. It gets super balled. Now I know there have been some people having concerns about it not working well, or it's too sharp, or that it snags. Now I'm not gonna lie, it did snag a few times when I first got it. I made sure that I kept oiling it up, and then the more I used it, I feel like it stopped doing that. And that's basically why these are my favorite trimmers, or my top 2 trimmers going into 2022. Now, are these the best trimmers that ever came out? I'm not gonna say all that, but just from my personal preference, these 2 right here I can use all day and they work really well. Any other trimmer that y'all have seen me talk about in this video, I think works really well. Unfortunately, guys, I did not get to use the JRL 2020T, or I don't know, the trimmer that goes with the clipper. I didn't get to use that trimmer. I really wanted to try it out, but I never got my hands on one, and I did not get to use any caliber trimmers, so I did not add those into this video. Not saying they're not good tools, I'm sure they are, but this is just my opinion, my thoughts, and what I think. So nonetheless, guys, these are my top 2 trimmers going into 2022. Now remember, guys, at the beginning of the video, I said that the Babyliss Low Pro FX trimmer is coming out next year. Great tool, super great tool. It does have the DLC 2.0 blade on it, but for some reason on that trimmer, it works different than it works on the other one. Like it hits really good. I'm not even gonna get too much into it. Nonetheless, guys, that's basically it for this video. If you like this video, please make sure to smash that like button. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe one time for your boy. And that's basically it, YouTube. I appreciate y'all for watching. Until next time, let's go.